Wow, what a feeling it is to complete a sketchbook. And I know many more to come. Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I make videos on anything art related, a little bit of this and that. If that speaks to you, consider subscribing. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a sketchbook tour. This is sketchbook tour number 2 for my channel. The sketchbook I used is called the Stillman & Byrne Mixed Media Sketchbook. It is the Premium Beta Series. Some other facts about the sketchbook is that it's acid-free paper. The GSM is 270 cold press paper, and it has a little bit of a tooth to it. Size is 5.5 by 8.5 inches. The leaflet it comes with says this is good for dry and wet media. It says that you can use watercolor and ink in this sketchbook. The paint pens that I use to decorate my sketchbook I'll leave listed down below. Most of these stickers are from Amazon, and then there are 2 on the middle of the front and the middle of the back. Those are my stickers that I've printed out from Sticker Mule, and so it's pretty much done and decorated. So that ends this part of the video, and we're gonna get started with looking and seeing what's inside of this sketchbook. Let's get started. I actually decided at a different time to add a little bit more butterflies on the cover, so you'll see that included here. But here is the opening page, and I really like to decorate it nicely just to get the ball rolling and begin. And this is a picture I drew of my cat Quasi, and he is my lovely fur baby. This is mixed media, and I used Faber-Castell polychromos colored pencils for the cat and acrylic Holbein gouache for the leaves, and then the circle behind the cat was done with my Deco brush markers. And lastly, I used M. Gran watercolor as a wash for the background. Here I have a bunch of cats doing yoga. It says breathe in love, exhale, worry, and doubt. So I wanted to do something therapeutic and fun, and so I decided to do some cats doing yoga, and I will show you what my inspiration is for this spread. I purchased these adorable cat figurines on Amazon during quarantine, and I thought this would be a perfect way to start my sketchbook. I used Deco brush pens and some Posca pens for this spread, and the metallic paint is from my Fine Tech watercolors. Next we have some more cats, so you're going to see a lot of cats at the beginning, and this was inspired by these salt and pepper shakers I got at Target years ago, and they're so adorable. I wanted to draw them. So the cats are done in Tombow brush pens, and then everything else is with my acrylic Holbein gouache. The lettering says we were meant for each other, and I made this quote because it reminds me of my husband and I. As we turn the page, we're going to see another cat, and this one I did during my Power of the Sketchbook video, and I took inspiration from a little figurine that was my late grandmother's, so it's quite special to me, and this video was special to me, so I thought it would be a perfect little thing to paint for that video. I used my Holbein Fall Edition gouache paint. Alright you guys, next up we have some kitty paws. I don't know about you guys, but I love paws. They are so cute. Cats, dogs, they are adorable, and I had to draw these because she's got the most precious paws. So I did my cat Misty's paws in Copic markers, and I did some detailing on the background with some pins, and the background is actually with watercolor. Next we have a series of butterflies and moths, and I did this here for my Deco brush tip markers video where I experiment using these markers or paint pens in different ways. And if you're curious on how I approached each one of these drawings, I'll leave the video link down below. But here they are, colorful and fun, because that's one of the things that I love to create are cats, of course, and butterflies and moths. as you will see here and there in this sketchbook tour. Up next, I went to a Chinese restaurant and opened my fortune cookie, and it gave me a quote, and so I made a picture based off this quote and some writing to go along with it. The ginkgo leaves are done in a green brush tip marker, and then the flower is done with Tombow brush tip markers and then color pencil on top. So for the next spread, I decided to use the same media with Tombow brush tip markers and then color pencil on top, not on everything but mainly on the eyes, and then I just added water to the flowers for a watercolor effect. The next spread is dedicated to my love bug Quasi, and it says, "I present to you little boy," that's his nickname, and down below you will see it says Quasi Mr. Moto, that's his nickname, and it also says, "I adore you little one." This was done with Stabilo highlighters. I also used midliner highlighters and a little bit of Deco brush pens for the leaves surrounding him. Okay, so up next we have my cat Sunny, and I used my Derwent drawing pencils. I'm not quite sure what type of pencils these are, but they're like a mix-up of, or a mashup of, colored pencils and soft pastel pencils. I have used these pencils before in the past, and they work better in a different sketchbook because this paper is too textured for it, and I didn't like the way it came out. So note to self, do not use these pencils in this type of sketchbook again. Okay, you guys, if you've watched my previous videos, you know that I love these dual tip Mitsubishi drawing pencils. They are excellent for rendering value, soft to dark, and they are so easy to use. The values are buildable. If you do not own these and you like drawing, you need to get your hands on some of these. The reference pictures I used are going to be from Michelangelo's Pieta, and that's going to be on the right side, and on the left I took segments of Michelangelo's David. I find it fun from time to time to go back and look at the old masters and try to replicate what they do. I really feel like it helps me to brush up on my skills. Furthermore, on this day I specifically wanted to take a statue and tried to develop high contrast with shadows, dark and light, and so I decided what better artist to use than Michelangelo. Now it's time for something new. How about some mushrooms? This one was when I filmed my Holbein video on the Holbein Fall edition of the gouache paint. This was fun to paint. I love gouache. It's one of my favorite types of paint. And this was my first time using traditional gouache from Holbein. Definitely love the vibrancy of the colors. I would say this line of gouache from Holbein is very comparable to Winsor & Newton Professional Gouache. So after that video, I ended up filming a video with the Holbein set, but this is the winter edition. I will leave those two videos linked down below if you would like to check them out. Okay, so here's a new medium on the next spread. I am using Holbein, but this is their acrylic gouache. I did some fun plants in here, and then the black is the brush tip pen from Pentel. Okay, so I really don't want to show you the next page, but here it is. It's a mess. I started off with some drawings with markers, and I didn't like that, so I covered it up with some acrylic gouache, and I just kept layering it, and I said, you know, I'm going to stop because it's not getting any better. Alright, moving right along. So next we have on the left some acrylic gouache as the base, and then I'm using my Kuretake white brush tip pen for the lettering. Always try to throw in some positive quotes, words, or phrases from time to time in my sketchbook just to keep me inspired. On the right side I used Amgram gouache paint, and this is a flower that I found in the parking lot of Chipotle. I end up seeing this flower and I snapped a picture with my phone. You never know when you can find inspiration. On the next spread I use some brush tip markers from Kuretake, and I use my Derwent pastel watercolor set as a background to add a splash of color. This sketchbook does a decent job holding watercolor, and I really enjoyed using these new paints. I look forward to using them some more. Up next we have some more mixed media. I used my Kuretake brush tip pins to do the butterflies, and then on the background flower is my Coal Erase pin in violet. The rest of the work is done with the Corrine brush tip pins. Now next we have watercolor. I did some light washes, and the reference picture I pulled from one of my books on butterflies. I saw these and I thought of the butterflies from Alice in Wonderland in the garden scene. This is one of my favorite spreads in this sketchbook. The watercolors I used are from M. On the next page I have some fun watercolor illustrations, and I got this idea from my Starbucks cup. Are you guys ready for a pop of neon color? Here it is. I made a short on Instagram with these Lumi watercolors. These are definitely vibrant, and they are just some fun accents that I can add to my work. The best part of this spread is the message, transform and fly. And so the next spread I decided to do something else inspirational. I wrote down, I am strong and resilient. And don't forget that, you really are strong and resilient. I used my Corrine brush tip markers and a black brush pen. The gold butterflies are done with the M. gold ink. Up next we have some birds, and this is done with a brush tip pen and some watercolor in the background. The silver accents are from M. ink. I had taken pictures of birds from my backyard, and I used those as references to do this spread. As I was finishing up the sketchbook, I couldn't think of other things to add, so it just hit me. I was looking through my camera roll and I saw that I had birds, and so that's what I ended the sketchbook with. Some pretty birds. This is the black Phoebe. One is done with my Mitsubishi pencil in blue, and the black is done with a black brush tip marker. The background is done with these vintage watercolors from Prima Market. Okay, so this is the last page. It says sketchbook complete, but the journey continues. I had to end the sketchbook with my little studio assistant, so I did drawings of each one. There is Sunny, Misty, Pika, and Quasi. So this completes our sketchbook tour today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. It is such a joy to start a sketchbook, finish it, and start a new one. I look forward to making more sketchbook tours and sharing them with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.